Hello learners, welcome again to our session, a continuation of what we were doing earlier on. So last time we had looked at a planning memorandum, and in our session today we say that we are going to look at a concept known as what? Audit program. So today I want us to talk about aspects to do with audit program and see what that entails. So basically here we are looking at preparing the audit program. Preparing the audit program. Preparing the audit program. Preparing the audit program. So first thing, even before we look at how we are going to prepare the audit program, it is very important for us to understand that when we are talking of audit program, basically what do we mean? So like any other program that we normally tend to talk about, of course, these are what will give us a schedule of what we are supposed to do. It will kind of analyze us in terms of timing. It will give us aspect to do with aspect of what we should do. Program, right? This is what I'm going to do a particular task. That is what you're terming it as what? As audit program. So in a very simple manner, talking of our audit program, basically, we normally tend to look at audit program as the breakdown of all the audit work to be performed. This is basically a breakdown of all the audit work to be performed with respect to each item included in the financial statement. So in a very simple manner, we are saying that basically audit program are breakdown of all, this breakdown of all the audit work to be performed, of all the audit work to be performed, of course, to be performed, of all audit work to be performed, with respect to each item included, with respect to each item included in the financial statement, Basically, these are what you are looking at it as audit program. We are looking at a breakdown of all the audit work basically to be performed with respect to each item included in the financial statement. A very important key concept to note. So you'll find that my good student, basically audit program will provide a substantive procedure necessary in the audit of the financial statement. Because, of course, for you to perform your work effectively, we normally tend to consider plan, right? And this plan will always go with a certain program. Just like any other point whereby if you go to a function, you'll be told that you're having a program. Probably, first thing always may be to pray, maybe a national anthem, maybe aspect of inviting the guests and all that. So this is a program that is being followed. The same case will happen with audit. I should have a systematic manner. I should have a breakdown of how we are going to conduct this audit work, where we are going to say that today probably we're going to do verification. Tomorrow maybe we're going to do verification of this other area of financial statements. Maybe the other time maybe I'm going to condense and aspect of look at these draft reports. Maybe the other day these are what you're going to do. So in that I'm aligning my task, I'm aligning my duties based on how we are going to do them. So basically this is what you're terming it as a basically breakdown of all the work to be performed with respect in each item in the financial statement. So you'll find that many a times for us to always reduce that aspect, or rather to increase the effectiveness of our audit, at times or many a times we normally prefer that audit program to be prepared for each item included in the financial statement. So that I'm going to look at a financial statement. Say, for example, if it is debtors, I should come up with the audit program for debtors. If, for example, if I'm looking at cash, I should come up with the audit program for cash. And to do this case, I want to show you a very simple concept of audit firm, or rather the aspect of audit program in terms of cash. Look at this case, for example, whereby this is an audit program for cash. This is an audit program for cash. That is our audit program for cash, whereby you'll find that in this case, other than the name of audit firm, address, name of the client, address of the client, and the financial period that we are covering, you'll find that is going to entail what I've shown you on the screen, where I'm having specific audit procedures. We have the test, of course, test the control over cash payment and count cash. Specific audit objective. If it is to test the control over cash, my objective will be to verify that all cash payments are valid and authorized. If, for example, you are to talk of account cash, our objective will be to verify existence and amount available in the company. So basically, this is what we are terming it as a good example of what? A good example of an audit program. And of course, in that case, I'm going to give the audit findings. After we've talked of the audit findings, I'll also be looking at audit conclusion. What am I concluding? And audit initials, basically who has kind of done that audit. Say, for example, if it's a Ringo Frederick, my initial is AF, or rather FA, right? So that will depend with the initial that we are going to set in place. Then, of course, the day that I've conducted that, the day that I've conducted our search, or rather the day that we've done that activity. So also below there, I've clearly demonstrated for you some of the content of the audit program, whereby the content of the audit program will include name and address of the audit firm, name and address of the client company, the financial period covered by the financial statements being audited, specific audit procedures to be carried out, specific objectives to be achieved by each procedure, timing of each procedure, auditor's finding from the procedure, auditor's conclusion based on the findings, as well as the initials of the auditor who carries out the audit procedure. So basically that is what we should always be having in terms of the content of the audit program, in terms of the content of the audit program, in terms of the content of the audit program. That is what we should have. That is what we should have. Now, because we are able to we've looked at the audit program as well as also a bit of a format of it. It will be very, very appropriate that now we proceed to the next element and understand the types of audit programs that we normally tend to talk about. So this should take us directly to types of audit programs. For this point, or we normally tend to consider only two types of audit program. So looking at the types of audit programs that we are talking about. So these are types of audit programs. So we're talking about types of audit programs, types of audit programs. Type of audit programs, my good students, basically you said we'll always be considering two main. And these are, number one, the standardized audit programs. So talk of number one, we normally tend to talk about the standardized audit program, standardized audit program. Standardized audit programs. Number two, we normally tend to talk about the progressive audit programs. Progressive audit programs. Progressive audit programs. Basically, this is what you're talking about, right? So, these are the types of audit programs that we'll be talking about. That is the standardized audit program as well as the progressive audit programs. Those are the programs that basically we'll be talking about. Types of the audit programs. So to do that, I want us to dissect the first one and see what it entails, plus as well as the advantages of the same. So that should take us directly to number one, aspect of standardized audit programs. But I feel before we look at this, first of all, whenever we are talking about this aspect of importance, generally importance of audit programs, importance of audit programs. Because as we mentioned here that for audit programs, basically we say that these are breakdown of all the audit work to be performed with respect of each item included in the financial statement. Now the big question is, we want to look at, or rather we want to talk about the concept to do with importance. From the definition, what can we say are the importance of audit program? Just from what we've looked at here, the aspect of what audit program entails. Now the big question that I'm asking is, what do you think are the importance of audit programs? What can we say are the importance of audit programs? We have so many importance, my good students, that I know if you try to think it widely, you can come up with these importance. So number one important, what do you think? First of all, you'll find that number one, importance of audit programs. Basically, they set out the procedures that are needed to be implemented in the audit plan. They set out procedures that are needed to be implemented in the audit plan. Also, you'll find that the program serves as a set of instructions for the audit staff. They are going to guide the auditors to know what they are supposed to do. Therefore, another advantage or rather important is the audit program provide means of control and record of work done. Because remember, we have to detail all this work. We have to record all this work. So also is going to help in recording. They also facilitate effective and efficient completion of the audit because we are working according to plan. We know that this is what you're going to do. And of course, it has also set the time limit or aspect of budget on the same. Also, they facilitate review of the work done. They facilitate review of the work done. They facilitate timely completion of the audit work, as well as they force the auditor to adopt a systematic approach to the audit, which is very important, by the way. That systematic approach to the audit is usually very, very important. Now, generally, we've looked at the general importance of the audit program. Now, I want us to dissect each of this item because recall we say that for audit program, I'll be talking of two, the standardized audit program as well as the progressive audit programs. So in this case, my good students, I want us to dissect the first one, which is, in this case, we're talking about what? The standardized audit programs. Standardized audit programs. Standardized audit programs, that is what I want us to start with and see what that means and what it entails and how is it important. And I know from the word, we can clearly come up with what is happening here. We can clearly come up with aspect of definition. So A, we are talking of the standardized audit program. 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 Standardized audit programs. So it will be very important for us to understand what standardized audit programs are. So in a very simple manner, we normally tend to say that these are pre-prepared audit programs developed by the audit firm to be used for all audits. To be used for all audits. Just as simple as that. You'll find that in this case, we are developing something in advance. So that after we develop this in advance, that is what I'm going to use all through. And that's why we are talking about here, we are saying that we are looking at it as a pre-prepared. We are saying these are what? Pre-prepared. Pre-prepared audit programs. Pre-prepared audit programs. Pre-prepared audit programs. Pre-prepared audit programs developed by the audit firm. Developed by the audit firm. Developed by the audit firm to be used in all audits. 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 So, pre-prepared audit programs developed by the audit firm to be used in all audits. Meaning that I'm coming up with a single element which it will act as a basis of referral to all the audits that we will be doing. It's going to break down all the, or rather it will act as a guide to all the audits that we will be doing. So key element here, my good students, is to understand you're talking of what? Pre-prepared audit programs. You're talking of pre-prepared audit programs. That is a very key element that we should be able to, understand here. Now, after we are able to understand the aspect of the standard audit program, keyword is just for you to understand that you're talking of something that you're going to prepare in advance, meaning that it's going to act as a form of referral to any form of audits that you'll be conducting. That's why you're talking of it as pre-prepared. So the good thing, or rather one of the most important things that I should ask myself is, what are then the advantages of these pre-prepared audit programs? What are the advantages of the pre-prepared audit programs? That is one question that I'm going to ask myself. So therefore, that should take us directly to advantages of standardized. Talk about advantages of standardized audit program. Advantages of standardized audit program. Advantages of standardized audit program. So now we understand that basically we're talking of pre-prepared what? Pre-prepared aspect of pre-prepared, of course, audit programs. Now, what are these advantages? First of all, you'll find that they are going to save on time and cost, because I won't be wasting a lot of time again preparing a new sheet, or rather a new program. I'm going to use that one program that I had prepared earlier on in so many audits. So we'll first you'll see that it's going to save on time as well as cost, because also preparing such, of course, it will involve a component of cost. And if I prepare one, and this one probably I'll be reusing it, you'll find that that aspect of time and cost is going to be saved. So number one, we are talking about it will save on time and cost. It will save on time and cost because I have created that item, and that item is the one that I'm using all through. And that's why you're saying that is going to assist us to save on time and cost. Another advantage of the same, number two, we can also talk about and say that they enhance uniformity of the audit work. Because if I'm having a certain program, which in this case is general in all the audits that we'll be conducting, I'll be knowing whatever that we are supposed to do. So therefore, you're saying that they enhance uniformity of the audit work. Number three, they provide for cross-referencing of the work done by the auditor. They also facilitate review of the audit work. They serve as a set of staff instruction because it is going to be used all over. They also facilitate training of new recruits. Say, for example, if I've joined a certain firm and I know this is what these guys, they normally tend to do, of course, it will be very easy for me to blend in and also adapt to what the firm is doing. So that's why you're saying that it's very important to note that it will also facilitate training of new staffs. Also, the other number you're talking about is should facilitate delegation of audit duties, because it will be very easy. If I know what to do, of course, boss can delegate a duty for me, and I'm going to do it very effectively because I'm having set of guidelines on how I'm supposed to do that. So that one, you're saying that it will also facilitate what? It will facilitate the aspect to do with, of course, it is going to facilitate delegation of work. Also, the other key element you're talking about is they force the auditor to adopt a systematic approach to the audit, which enhances the quality of the audit, So basically, those were the advantages of standardized audit program. What about limitations, my good students? Because as I normally tend to say, whenever we do have advantages, we must also have what? Disadvantages of the same, right? So then, what are the disadvantages, or rather limitations, of the audit program? Number one, first of all, you'll find that at this point, they lack flexibility to cope with changes. Things do change. Technology changes, regulation do change, and so many things do change. So you'll find that because I designed this probably some times back, and in that case, I've gone to my client area and I've seen that this person adopts a different form of technology other than what I was expecting. As such case, you'll find that it's going to be cumbersome. It's going to be very hard for us to adopt. It's going to be very hard for us to do it, for us to adopt. So that's why we are saying that it is a limitation. So we are saying that at this point, they lack flexibility to cope with changes, Then the other element you're talking about is they discourage initiative and use of auditor's judgment, because I must follow set of guidelines. Probably I'm thinking a whole different element, but because this program is helping me, or rather it has set certain guidelines that I should follow, as at the end of the day is going to limit my judgment. That's why we are saying that they discourage initiative, or rather they discourage, of course, aspect of initiative and use of auditor's judgment. The other number we are talking of is the client staff may become familiar with auditors' programs. So of course, if I become familiar with your program, I can easily tend to play around with whatever that you are doing, so that in that case will not suit us best. Also, the other key element here we are talking about should be, of course, the client staff may become familiar, of course, with the audit programs. We talked about that. They assume that all the audit clients are the same, which at times in reality is not the case. All clients are not the same. So you're saying that they assume that all the audit clients are the same, which at times should not be the case. Also, the other limitation here we are talking about is inefficient staff may hide their inefficiency in the audit programs, because I'm going to say that this is what guided me to do this, and probably in reality I'm very inefficient. So you'll find that as much as we do have the advantages of the same, we also have what? Disadvantages of the same. Now, that is an aspect to do the standardized audit programs. We've talked of two. We've said that I'll be talking of the standardized audit program as well as progressive audit program. So that should take us to number 2 directly. See what this entails. So we'll be talking of progressive. Talk about progressive audit program, progressive audit program, progressive audit program, progressive audit program. Or progressive audit programs. I know now, because you've understood what standardized audit programs are, it will be very efficient and very easy for us now to describe what progressive audit programs are. Can you do that? Can you tell Mwalimu what progressive audit programs are? Just from this word progressive. This one you're saying that they are being developed as at the beginning of the period, rather they are pre-prepared audit programs. What about progressive? Generally, at this point, whenever we're talking of a progressive, basically, we are looking at it as these are audit programs that are allowed to develop as the audit progresses. As simple as that. We are saying that these are audit programs. These are basically audit programs. These are basically audit programs that are allowed to develop, that are allowed to develop as the audit progresses, as the audit progresses. So you'll find that at this point the auditor uses his professional skill and judgment to determine the procedures to perform. So at this point you'll find that it's not pre-prepared, but we are going to adapt based on the environment that I am operating in. I'm going to adapt based on the environment that we are operating in. So that at the end of the day, you'll find that it's more flexible at some point. You'll also find that it's going to allow the auditor to use this judgment at some point also. So in this case, my good students, what I want you to do is try to analyze for me the advantages and disadvantages of audit programs. And that is what the assignment that Mwalimu is giving us. So to that point, thank you so much, and let us meet in the next session. Thank you.